How Audio Works by Vincent Musolino. Copyright 2016 Vincent Musolino. All rights reserved. Distribution under any form by any means is explicitly forbidden unless agreed upon by the author. This book is dedicated to my wife. Disclaimer. I decline any liability for any injury and or damage to persons or property which might be caused by improper use or operation of material present in this book. You never know. Note to this audiobook. All the figures, the tables, along with the list of sources are provided as free downloadable content with the purchase of this audiobook. Preface. When I started to get interested in audio 8 years ago, I started from scratch. I knew nothing about any of it, so I started to absorb anything I could find on the topic. I decided to write down, in my own words, what I found important in my journey to a better understanding of audio. I listened to podcasts and read books and forum posts from people who knew much more than I did, or at least made me frown and jot down a question so that I could go back and verify the answer later. And before long, what started as a bunch of lines in a Word document grew into a much larger than anticipated collection of explanations, figures, and tables. As this document grew, I decided to focus on two things. First, I wanted to explain the basic technical audio stuff. Is there a difference between a volume knob on a speaker and a gain knob on a preamp? How does a microphone work? How can my ears detect multiple frequencies at the same time? What the heck is impedance and should I care? Do I seriously need to put blankets up the walls in my living room? Second, because audio is technical, people feel compelled to use jargon, so I try to reference as many Kabbalistic terms as possible. Part of the initiation ritual in audio circles is to understand what is meant by adding 2 dBs at 300 on the 1073. Therefore, I have added equipment tables and a large index of terms. I hope you will find them useful. Finally, I'm completely ignoring entire library sections worth of content about audio. If it's not in here, it's simply because I was not interested in it. The intent was to have a short reference book anyway, not an audio codex, pun intended, of 667 pages. Someone already tried. My gratitude goes to Christophe, Enzo, and Fabien who have helped me write this book by reviewing it. Their invaluable work helped me gain a different perspective on the book before it is too late. Much like a music mix, really. Finally, many thanks to the people I have listened to, talked to, or read from. This would have been impossible 20 years ago, in the dark ages of paper and telephone. Thank you, interwebs. Introduction. This book is intended for music fans of all sorts and ages. Whether a musician who wants to understand the engineering behind the music, a hobbyist who wants to record their songs, a music lover who wants to understand why certain records sound the way they do, an audio engineer who wants to make sure they can nail the basic technicalities of their craft, or simply someone eager to learn the basics of audio engineering, this book is for you. The title of the book is How Audio Works. The problem is that audio gets hard quickly. This book aims at making the fundamentals of audio easier to understand, but it still is a challenging task that requires some thinking. Because audio is an engineering discipline, there will be math. Simple functions, simple equations, but math nonetheless. Even if I try to avoid mathing you out, it is the basic language of engineering. Understanding the equations is not required to understand the principles behind them, but it helps. I decided to organize the book in the most intuitive way possible. Follow the sound from its creation to its rendering, from the vibrating string to the sound in your ears. Chapter 1 deals with physical sound and its description in terms of waves. Chapter 2 explains how the sound is transformed and transported by a series of devices, microphones, cables, amplifiers, etc., from the analog physical domain to the digital virtual domain. Chapter 3 describes the basic transformative operations available in the digital domain. Chapter 4 explains how the sound is transformed back into the analog domain and how we humans detect it. Ready to jump in?